Hey, it's the Right Rican, and I put a new background for this video. I wanted to, someone came at me with a comment on one of my videos, and um, this is one I wanted to. I'm going to talk about a little bit. I'm gonna talk about the racism, and the racism is the racism on the left that no one ever talks about, really. But when you come out of Puerto Rican, you have to understand that we're a beautiful mix. We're a beautiful mix of African, European, and Taino. Okay, so we have that mix in that total mix in all of us. There's not anyone that can't claim any Puerto Rican that can't claim to have any of that stuff in them. It's like even my wife. Like, give you an example. My wife is much more light skinned than I am. I tan much easier than she does. But when she took the DNA test, she has 30% African blood in her. Just to give you that as an example. So it doesn't matter um, whether you're when you're Puerto Rican, you have this in you. Okay, I just wanted to have that little bit of a lesson before I go into what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the racism of the racism of the left, because there's bigotry there, but the problem is it's ignored, and especially by us people of color. We ignore when we get stuff like this. And here's a CNN article. It's an opinion piece from CNN. It goes here, and you got to love uh, the drama queens at CNN putting up this type of title to their article. Supreme Court deals blow to American democracy. Okay. And, you would think, what? What? The Supreme Court? No. Here it goes. Look, listen. Just want you to see so you can see how, um, so you can see the subtle racism. And here it goes. It goes, um, Shelby, it goes 8 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court gutted a major portion of the Voting Rights Act in its infamous Shelby County versus Holder decision, making it easier for states with a history of voter discrimination to enact new onerous voting rules. States like Georgia, Texas took notice, passing strict new voter ID laws, absentee ballot rules, and a host of other provisions that make it harder for some people to vote. The court just doubled down right on the attack. And just so you can here's a picture of the guy who's saying that this is racist. Okay, um, it goes here. In this case, it goes here. Um, Specific Arizona laws at issue in the Bovanich case, which the court just decided by 6-3, that fell on predictable ideological lines. Okay, are less momentous than the rule the court laid down for future Voting Rights Act cases. Still, while upholding the Arizona laws, the court made it much harder for voting right advocates to protect against racial discrimination. Please, white guy, stop. Okay, look, I'm going to use I'm going to use the left's tactics on this. Stop speaking for me, white man. Stop speaking for me. You don't speak for me. So, when we say white liberals, and when Malcolm X talked about the white liberal, here it goes. Here's a white guy using people of color as pawns for their ideological. Here goes. It goes. The 6-3 vote fell on predictable ideological lines. So they use race. So like that, instead of attacking the ideology, they attack by race. And they tell us it's racist because it disagrees with their ideological views. And here's how the left uses race and racism to attack. Instead of going, why is it, okay, why is it getting a voter ID? Why is that racist? Black and Hispanics, who you watching this video, do you know where to go to get an ID? Why is it that these white people are telling us that we don't know how to get an ID? Huh? Can you explain that one to me? I mean, I've seen videos. I saw the Ari, what's his name? Ari, I forget his last name. He does the videos, and he did a video showing like he went to California and went to a liberal college, and they're like, yeah, black, people of color don't know how to get onto the internet, and people of color, it's hard for them to get an ID. And then he goes to Harlem and asks a bunch of black people, do you have an ID? Do you know where to go to the DMV? I mean, do you know how to get a voter ID? I mean, how to get an ID? And they point him to the DMV, and you're just like, that's hilarious. And that's how you see the racism of the left. It's the low bigotry of the soft bigotry of low expectations. They say it's hard for us to get an ID when it's absolutely not. I mean, this pisses me off. And that's what it goes here. It just keeps going on and on about that. The question of whether the voting right advocates would lose this case, they lose the whole ballgame. To be sure, the court did not completely gut Section 2 of the Voting Right Acts. Instead, the majority opinion delivered by Justice Alito is more subtle, offering 5 guideposts to construe the landmark civil rights statute. But each of these guideposts place significant hurdles on voting rights plaintiffs going forward, spelling bad news for equality and the right to vote. Bullshit. Okay? I don't care if if I'm not supposed to say that, but that's bullshit. All right? This is what they're talking about. There is no inequality in voting. You get an ID, that's it. What they want to tell you is, you know, if you disagree with what the Democrats think is, the way that we should vote, then it's racist. No, I'm a person of color, and here's an article from Real Clear Politics: Why We Black Leaders Support Voter ID Laws. This is from earlier this year. This is from April, where it says here in to the contrary, it goes here. However, it goes, America is a country of 300 million people. We are comprised of every shape, size, nationality, and opinion. This diversity has proven to be one of our greatest strengths. However, if you listen to largely white liberal media personalities and elite CEOs, you wouldn't know this. According to liberal orthodoxy, all blacks think alike, and all blacks support Black Lives Matter, and all blacks oppose the recently enacted Georgia Election Integrity Act. To the contrary, a recent Rasmussen report poll found that 69% of blacks and 82% of non-white minorities support voter ID. So who are the ones who don't support voter ID? Look at the numbers. It's whites who don't support the voter IDs. So when I tell you about, how they use racism, that's what they use it. You know, they talk about, here, and it's an ideological difference. But the Democrats, instead of going, why they for, okay, instead of going, okay, you want voter ID? Let's go, okay, let's say if you're poor, we'll put a picture on your welfare card, your EBT card, and that could be your ID. Or you could use that to get your non-driver's license ID, where you don't have to pay, or you could just call it a voting ID, where you have your picture, your address on it, and there you go. You could vote. You don't have to pay that. If you're on welfare or something like that, you show that you're in need, you get the ID. But if you're a working person, you have an ID. You have a driver's license for the most part, or you have a non-driver's license ID. So I don't, so don't attack it saying that it's racist. And this whole thing about ballot harvesting that they want to call, that's what people on the right call it, ballot harvesting. But that's exactly what they're doing. They'll go and, let's say they'll go to um a nursing home and just collect the ballots of the people there at the nursing home, making sure they fill out for, whoever, Democrats or Republicans. To me, that's not right. If a relative of that person, or if they don't have any more relatives, they can mail it out. This nonsense of some um activists coming to these places and collecting ballots and going around the neighborhood to collect ballots, to me, is bullshit. And that has nothing to do with being racist. Okay. But that's how the left does it. The left does it. That's how they use race to get their ideological preference. That's what it is. This whole idea of the Voting Rights Act and all that stuff is, as this guy said, when predictable ideological lines. And of course, the Democrats and the left want to use the race to keep us subjugated. That's what they use the differences for. And if you want to see where another thing where the soft bigotry of low expectations from uh, from the left is, here it goes. This NBC article about people, okay, Latinos who supported Trump were more likely to lack a college education. Biden won 69% of Latino college graduate voters compared to 30% for Trump. But Biden got only 55% Hispanic, hit 55% from Hispanics without a degree. So, what's this saying? Basically, the only people who voted for Trump are, you dumb Latinos who don't have an education. Now, I don't know about you, but I know plenty of, let's say, I have plenty of friends who are electricians, handymen, in construction, smart as hell. And they just chose to make money as opposed to going to school. That doesn't make them stupid. That, matter of fact, that makes them more smarter than these people who got a college degree. Because most of these people who get a college degree, sadly, I'm one of them. I ain't doing shit in my with my degree. My degree is nice and displayed here in the basement, doing me no good. In hindsight, I would have probably went to a vocational school or something, because then I could have been making money, you know, right out of vocational school, electrician, HVAC, anything like that. You could make money off of it. But I went to college, so but this is the like I said, this is how they get you. So it's like, oh well, it's the soft bigotry of low expectations. We don't expect much from the left when it comes to them talking about racism, but here it goes right here. It's like, it's in your face, and they act like, oh, it's like Donald Trump had a higher share of support in the 2020 election among Latino voters without a college degree than those with one. Although President Joe Biden won a majority of votes from Hispanics, there was a significant difference in preferences based on education. So this is what it's saying. Hey, look, the only dumb Latinos voted for Trump. So if how do you not, if you that's just you see these things, it's insulting. But meanwhile, this is what passes for news. This is what passes. Uh, these are the opinions that are spouted on the left. And if you disagree with it, because blacks and Latinos, we vote for overwhelmingly Democrat, they get you by going, hey, look at the racist Republicans. But look at the stuff that they say. They call us stupid if we don't vote the way that they vote. Biden said you're not black if you didn't vote for him. So why do they not get called out on their racism? Why? Because the media leans left. The media will protect the Democrats and the people on the left while attacking everybody on the right. And that's the way it goes. And that's why you have people like me here on YouTube talking about this, because if we don't, no one will. You don't want to watch Fox News. You don't want to watch Newsmax. Maybe hearing it from another Latino, another Puerto Rican like me, maybe you'll listen. Maybe you'll click to you. Oh, hey, you know what? Let me share this video with my friends over here. Maybe that they'll get something from it, because look, you got to read through their BS. You look at what they're writing on the news and you go, wait a minute, why is it racist to get a vote? That's the biggest thing that they're fighting. This is in the For the People Act, the biggest thing that they're fighting for is not having voter ID. That's the biggest thing that the Democrats are fighting for. They don't want voter ID. And if that's not the number way to prevent cheating, is to make sure you have a voter ID. I mean, they're one of the things they're finding in the Texas law. I don't know as much about the Georgia law. I know in the Texas law, they're stating that on your absentee ballots, you have to put your driver's license ID number on it. So they're fighting putting an ID number on your ballot. How's that racist? That's just election security. I want to make sure my vote's counted properly. I don't want someone to coming and stealing my vote, pretending to be me. Do you? Because I know I don't. But this is what they tell us. This is what they feed us. This is what gets me mad, because I'm not genius level intelligence. I'm average level intelligence, and I could read that shit for myself. And then when you tell people, oh, but but the Republicans are racist. No, the Democrats are racist too. The Democrats are the ones that are spouting, how we're dumb because we voted for Trump. Or, we don't know how to get a voter ID. We don't know how to get a driver's license. Then how the hell do we have houses? How the hell do we have cars? How the hell do we get anything that we get in modern society without an ID? It's nonsense. But you know what? We let them feed it to us, and then we go, okay, I'm gonna vote for the Democrats because they tell me Republicans are racist, and I believe it. But meanwhile, they could tell you you're dumb, and you're like, okay, I'm dumb. I'm gonna, I'm gonna vote Democrats. I'm gonna stay on this plantation and pick their cotton, because that's what they expect us. It's like, why do they fight for illegal immigration? They go, well, nobody else is going to pick the fruit and the vegetables, because Americans don't want to do that job. And it's like, okay, really? It's like, I'm pretty sure if you pay them, they'll do it. The reason why they want these illegals to come here to do those jobs is so the fact that they could pay them under the table and pay them less money. Plain and simple. If you offer people good enough salaries, they'll do a job. But the problem is you don't want to pay. So all these big, big agri farms, where uh, that's all they want. They don't want these. They don't want to pay people money. They want to pay people penance so they could make more profit. I'm not gonna kill them for wanting to make profit, but spread the money that you make. If you're making billions of dollars a year, it's gonna hurt you to pay people more money. But hey, wait, but they'll be like, oh, but that's why we need socialism and communism. No, that's not why we need socialism and communism, because then what they do is they equally spread, they don't equally spread the wealth, they equally spread the misery. That's why you got people that come here from Venezuela, because while um Maduro may be nice and fat, while the rest of the people are starving and losing weight, he don't care. So that's not going to help anything here. We just need to, you want to stop the stuff that they're using to abuse us. But they tell you it's racism, and that's how they get you. So it's like, as much as people hated Trump, do you love these high gas prices? The economy was booming under Trump, as much as you hated him, but look at the situation we are in now. But anyways, this is not about a video about Trump, but this is about showing how, just showing the left's racism, and how we're just um we're numb to it. We see it and we don't call it out, and we need to call it out, because at the end of the day, us, especially us as Latinos and other and blacks, you need to call it out. You need to call it out, because the white liberal, they're not going to call it out, because for them, that's what they use to keep us on their plantation. So I'm gonna leave it there. The Right Rican. Hope you like the background, and you can follow me. I post these videos on YouTube and Rumble, and I'm on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Gab. I'm trying Parlor again. They're back up and running. We'll see. Hopefully, no more crashes with them. But I've been posting them on all those sites. I use Telegram too. So, with that being said, have a great weekend, and um, 4th of July on Sunday, and I will make. I don't normally make Sunday videos, but I'm going to do a Sunday video just because the fact is 4th of July. So, if you don't see this on the weekend, just because if you don't see my weekend video, have a happy 4th of July, and remember that we're celebrating the freedom that was created in this country. Have a good one.